Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terra One Home Care. Thank you so much for joining us. We always love to bring you information about good things happening in the community. So the Knights of Columbus Assembly 2101 in Assumption Parish held their annual Patriotic Awards banquet, took place this week. At the event, there were deputies, firefighters from both Ascension and Assumption parishes, along with a Triple Heart veteran. And they were all honored for their patriotism and their commitment to serving our community.
The fourth degree of the Knights of Columbus is the Patriotic Order of the organization. We feel it's our obligation to do what we can to promote patriotism. And so therefore we present this program every year to honor firemen, policemen, veterans, and anybody else that really contributes a lot to our country. We had an excellent crowd tonight, and everybody that received honors deeply appreciated it, and we were very happy to present the program. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rene Daze, and on behalf of the Monsignor Landsman Assembly, Knights of Columbus, I welcome all of you. A very hot welcome this afternoon to our banquet. I wish I could say annual banquet, but unfortunately we have not been able to have this banquet for the last 2 years, and of course you know why. But fortunately we were able to get it together while the pandemic seems to be a little bit low, even though we hear that cases are on the upswing, but not as bad as it used to be. So welcome. We are pleased to have you here, and we are indeed honored to present this program to honor various individuals of our parish this afternoon. We will begin with the presentation of the flags. So would you please stand as we present the flags, and remain standing, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At times we have our chaplain here with us, but either he's running late or something else came up. But would you please assume an attitude of prayer as we open with a prayer. Almighty and eternal God, we thank you for this evening. Be with us as we honor members of our community who have gone beyond their duty, beyond their calling, to keep us safe, to protect us. Continue to watch over us as we give you honor and glory, for you indeed are our Lord. We ask these things through Christ our Lord. Amen. I'd like to start off on a light note. There were two grandmothers sitting on a park bench, just having a casual conversation. One of them seemed to be pretty depressed. And the other one asked her, say, well, what's the problem? Well, she says, it's my grandkids. They don't call me. They don't come visit. And she says, I don't know what to do. I sent them gifts. I don't hear from them. The other one said, well, I've got grandchildren, and I can assure you, I send them gifts. I can assure you that they come see me. They call me. It's not a problem. Well, the first grandmother says, well, how in the world do you accomplish that? And the second grandmother says, well, I sent them a check for Christmas. I sent them a check for their birthdays. and I don't sign the checks. So we don't have too many young folks in here, but I'm sure we have a lot of grandparents in here, so you might want to use that technique. I think the first thing I'm going to do is to thank a few individuals, namely the cooks. Our Chief Jambalaya cook, Achille, where did he go? There he is. Achille Boudreau. He had a lot of help. Some of them have left already, but Adam Domingue and Ricky Blanchard, Jim Joe Clement, Ronald LeGlue. We thank them for the meal. It was excellent. We also want to thank the Ladies Altar Society. They had a function in here at noon, and I asked them if they could prepare just a little bit extra in the way of desserts, and that they did. It really came across. So thanks to the Ladies Altar Society from our clustered parishes, in particular St. Anne and Assumption. Thanks to them. And the canal, yeah. St. Anne down the canal, right? And also one other individual has to be thanked, and that is the person picking up the tab for the meal tonight, and that's Sheriff Leland Falcon. Thank you, Sheriff. The Knights of Columbus, for those of you that are not that familiar with it, is a fraternal organization formed by Father Michael McGivney in 1882 in New Haven, Connecticut. And it has grown tremendously since. 4 basic values of charity, unity, and fraternity. The 3 degrees a person can go through, of course, first, second, and third. But the 4th degree is why we're here tonight. The 4th degree is called the Patriotic Order. And what we try to do is to, in some way or another, instill some type of patriotism and appreciation for those who give so much to our country. And of course, the organization itself centers with activities concerning faith, family, community, and life. This, of course, I think tonight sort of encompasses all 4 of these, plus patriotism. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree of the Knights of Columbus are called consuls. The 4th degree, however, is called an assembly. And therefore, that's why this is called the Monsignor Landsman Assembly. The Monsignor Landsman Assembly formed in this area in 1987. And we have grown a bit since. And we appreciate the opportunity to put this program on for you tonight. There are over 3,000 assemblies throughout the world. Now to our awards, and that's why you're here. You know, as we look at the world today, we see inflation up. We see murder rates up. We see so many other things up. But what we don't see going up is the value and respect of human life. The value and respect of individuals who are here and doing their job to protect us in this great country of ours. So what we want to do tonight is to honor members of the Sheriff's Office, fire departments, and we also have some other honors that we will bestow. The first ones that we'll do tonight will be the Sheriff's Honorees, and we will first of all call on the Assumption Parish Sheriff, Sheriff Bobby Weber, who will come forward and present the, I'm sorry, that's the Assumption, Ascension, excuse me, Ascension Parish Sheriff Bobby Weber. And he will come forward to present his honoree. I did like the news. Many times they'll mix those two up.
So thank you very much. Leland, I'll swap with you. You got it going on in Assumption Parish. That's everything's great. Well, I'll tell you when you, first of all, thank you again. The last time we did this was in maybe 19, and we did it in Donaldsonville, and COVID changes our world, right? I know this, if you're going to serve jambalaya to some Gonzales folks, Gonzales jambalaya capital of the world, first thing we do is when we open up the lid, we start judging, okay? I will tell you, your color was just a little darker than the old traditional paper bag. Your rice was split, great, and the taste was phenomenal. You have to have kinfolk in Gonzales somewhere. You made a great jambalaya tonight, you did. For the ladies of the Altar Society, my goodness, I'd like to take you home with me. Those sweets were just unbelievably good. And when you said just a little bit, that table is full of sweets back there, so enjoy that. When you presented that flag, our fourth degree, the Patriotic Order, watching you walk up here with that flag, just remembering what your assembly is all about. And it's so nice to see y'all in the traditional fourth degree garb and wearing the traditional cape and the hats. I really like that. And I know you appreciate being inside wearing the capes and a hat. I'd like to introduce some of my staff here with us. I have Lieutenant Adam Brasso, Lieutenant Robert Moses, Captain Sean Winchester, Major Darrell Smith, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Capella, and Major Tony Natkin from the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office. Thank you guys for coming and being with us. Tonight we're going to honor one of my friends, Dale Cavalruso. Dale Cavalruso has been with the Sheriff's Office for over 15 years. He's worked in parish government with us, and I met Dale when I was a warden at the jail. He's still working at the jail. Dale is in charge of our jail maintenance department. And you would say, well, why would somebody who works in jail maintenance be honored as a Deputy of the Year? And I'll get into that in just a minute. But I also want to let you know that Dale just had an unbelievable event occur in his life. You know, a lot of us, maybe some of us in this room, caught COVID. Well, he caught it recently and caught it bad. I mean, really, really bad. Dale's 77 years old, and you wouldn't know it because he had more energy than I did. But I was getting calls on the telephone saying, it's not looking good. You get the call the next day, it's looking even worse. Dale made a commitment when he was in the hospital and he was still conscious. He said, do not put me on that vent. Do not put me on a vent and do not resuscitate me. I got a third call and said it's even worse. The fourth call was like they're calling in the family. He was gone. And miraculously, and Father, I'll tell you this, Father, he woke up. At some point, he woke up and there was a priest standing over him, giving him the last rites. Now, I know us Catholics call it the blessings of the sick now, but when you're sick and you're an old Catholic like me, that's the last rites. And I don't know if that's the first thing you want to see when you open your eyes, a priest leaning over you, giving you the last rites. But then again, that might be exactly what you want to see. There's a priest leaning over you, giving you the last rites and blessings of the sick. But it turned you around, Dale, and you came back strong, and you came back healthier than ever. And it shows your fortitude about how you can just squeeze life, and we were very, very worried about you. But you're back at work. You're doing all the things that you always did for us for the last 15 years. And let me tell you what he does for us. He started working with me in food service. He was feeding and cooking and running our food service and giving food to inmates. Did that for several years. Now he goes around that jail and he fixes things at that jail that are broke. But what Dale did many, many years ago, he said, I'm going to take this to another level. Because he works inmates every day. Inmates, men that's dressed in orange, that we know are going to one day be back in our society. They're coming back out. He's not working any first-degree murderers that's going to Angola for life. The people that Dale works are coming back into our community. And he made it a commitment to mentor those young men. So whatever he's doing, whatever he's working on, he's got those young men right by his side, and he's giving them those small life lessons. He's giving them focus. He's giving them direction. He's giving them the ability to say, you know what, if I can model myself like Dale models himself, it's just one of those things. And I think it's an unfortunate statistic that 38% of the men that get out of our jail will be back in. 38% will be back in within 5 years. But the ones that hang around with Dale and people like him has a much less chance of coming back into our jail because they're being mentored by a man who wears a uniform and wears a badge and treats them fairly and teaches them, you know what, you here now, you're going to work with me, but I'm going to see to it, best way I can, that when you leave this place, you have a skill and you got a good chance of never coming back. Not only that, you deserve to be Deputy of the Year when you do that kind of stuff, Dale. You also, I want to congratulate you on 49 years of marriage to Miss Chris. That's a great thing for us to, for me, I think I got 37, and I think I got something there, but look, you 49. And we're burying a lady in Gonzales Friday. She's 100 years old. They've been married almost 70 years. So I love having those stories. Miss Chris, maybe you deserve the Deputy of the Year award by being married to him for 49 years. But Dale, so we got a new warden at the jail. We got a great leadership team. And for them to come to me and say, you know what, I want to recognize Dale, not for fixing a water leak, not for fixing a stove, but for mentoring men that's one day going to get back in our society and hopefully become productive citizens. That's why we honor you tonight. And you've done that for so many years, and you still do it today. And I've seen you just a couple of days ago with the guys doing some hard work. And that's another thing, Dale, 77, you work harder than all of us. And we honor you for that, and we honor you for everything you do. So come up here and get this award if you would. How do we do this? Right here?
Yeah, turn it down.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you.
As each recipient receives this certificate, I want you to take a look at it if you get a chance, because each of them is done particularly for that individual. Each parish has its own units, of course, and that's in the picture. They're all designed by the one behind the camera, and of course he is our faithful navigator of Monsignor Landsman Assembly, but he also works for Channel 10 in Houma, and he has been doing this several years for us, and he does an excellent job in doing it. So take a look at the certificate if you can. Excellent job. Okay, we will stay with Ascension Parish, and we will honor a parole officer, and I think we call on Jamie Landry to present that certificate.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow, following Sheriff Weber. He's a lot more of a polished speaker than I am, probably. But anyway, guys, I'm Jamie Landry. I am the district manager for probation and parole for Donaldsonville District. We cover Ascension Parish, Assumption Parish, St. James, and St. John as well. If you don't know what probation and parole does, the short answer is we supervise people who are released on probation or parole, who come out of prison. And a big part of that is, kind of what the sheriff talked about, is trying to steer them in the right direction and ensure that they not go back to prison. Big part of that is, going out there and being involved in their lives, making contacts and things like that with them. Person who gets this award tonight can be kind of stubborn at times, a little bit hard-headed maybe, but what she does is she gives 110% every single day, and she hustles. And I'm proud to have her work for me, and couldn't ask for a better officer, and she'll get the job done every time. So congratulations to Katie Latour Southern.
Now we can move to Assumption Parish. Sheriff Leland Falcon.
I think Sheriff Weber was a PIO in his earlier days because he does this a lot better than any of us, I believe. You know, we sit there and we choose our recipient, and, you know, when we look at this and we think about the fourth degree and we think about patriotism, I think you think a lot about duty and sacrifice and dedication, selflessness. Those are the things that we look at when we're looking to select a person for this award. Our recipient tonight joined our sheriff's office in 2013. When we took office, we saw a 300% increase in our narcotics arrests. We saw a great increase in our narcotic seizures. And I will tell you that this person is a very vital part of that. Anytime we need to call upon him, he's there. Anytime we need, it doesn't matter what section it belongs to, doesn't matter where he's needed, pick up the phone and he's coming. So I'm gonna tell you, this guy lives it. This guy is dedicated to the people here, in our state, in our community. And it's my honor to give this award to Lieutenant Eric Taylor of Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office.
Congratulations to our honorees, and I'd like to all of our law enforcement officers, please stand and let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you, because we know that you risk your lives out there every day. We turn our attention now to the fire departments. And we'll start off with the Napoliville Fire Department. And in Chief Don Blanchard's place, I think we have Dean Oakwan to present the honoree tonight for the Napoliville Fire Department.
Good afternoon. Our recipient was actually chosen in 2019, but due to COVID and unforeseen circumstances, we weren't able to have him present him. He's been a self-employed man for many years and had many roles with the department, but with being self-employed, he's been of value with the department during days where we're shorthanded, as other chiefs could testify. So this year we wanted to honor him after many years of service. So our recipient this year is Mr. Glenn Knockham.
Next, we turn to Pierreport. Don Bro, Fire Chief, to present the honoree for Pierreport.
First off, thank the KCs for putting this on. Really appreciate it. The food was delicious and great as usual. I don't know if y'all realize it, but this means a lot to people who are getting these awards. They get the recognition they deserve. But Renee, I appreciate you taking my comment from last time. I know it is 16, but you didn't put me after Bobby Webb, and I appreciate that. That man can talk. We live in a different world nowadays. From past 10, 15 years ago, society has changed so much. The people don't have the respect for human life or a lot of things nowadays. Firefighters are kind of special because they're still thought as heroes. The young kids and people and everybody else, you go and fight fires and you save lives, and you know they still look up you as heroes. But for police officers, it's a different story. People don't respect you guys. You know, my father was a police officer for 33 years before he passed, and I've got a great deal of respect for what you guys do. And I just want to let y'all know that that's a majority. The majority of the people give y'all support. The minority. The minority is the one that's criticized. So just to make sure that, you know, I think y'all are aware that most people in this room, but most people, the majority, respect what y'all do, and we've got y'all back. Unfortunately, firefighters and police officers see a lot of tragedies. We see a lot of, we deal with death. We deal with a lot of senseless death. People who die for no reason, innocent people. On April of this year makes 40 years as fire chief that I've been chief. And every now and then I ask myself a question, you know, why do you do that? Why do you put yourself through that? You know? Well, about a year ago, we had a call that we had a complete arrest in Bell River. Calls we get fairly often, unfortunately. And it was a 52-year-old male, unresponsive. When we got to the scene, there was the family was doing CPR already. So when we got there, we did what we normally do. We intubated the guy, started an IV, and put an AED on him. Where we live at, Acadian ambulance is 25 to 35 minutes away, so we got a long time with a patient. When we actually shocked him 6 times before Acadian got there. When Acadian arrived on the scene, their paramedics hooked up their defibrillator, started pushing drugs, and they actually shocked him another 4 times. And all while we were doing this, you know, I kept thinking that, you know, this is another statistic. This guy's not going to make it. I actually rode in with him with the ambulance to continue CPR on him. We shocked him another 7 times going to the hospital. While we were en route, his heart came back a couple of times, but then we lose him again. And I kept thinking, this guy's never way he's going to make it. Well, last week, myself and another firefighter was going down the street in Pierreport, and he said it looked in a parking lot of a grocery store, and there was a guy walking with a walker. And he looked over and he said, "Hey, Chief, that's the guy y'all saved a year ago." And I said, "No." I said, "That's the guy that we as a team saved." 7 firefighters showed up that day and worked him. The 2 Acadian medics did their job. The doctors and nurses at the hospital did theirs. The rehab did their job at the rehab hospital. So it was a team effort. So I looked at him and I told him, that's why we do what we do, just for that reason. My choice for firefighter of the year, unfortunately, couldn't make it here tonight. He has another appointment that he had to be here. So I asked him if he wanted to express anything, so he gave me a little thing to read. Andrew Metrogene is my choice. He's been married to Glenda Metrogene for 38 years. They have 2 girls and now have 4 grandkids that they're very proud of. Without his family support, he said that he could not be the firefighter that he is today. As you all know, the fire service makes us miss many occasions. He thanked the good Lord for keeping him safe and that all the accomplishments he has accomplished in the fire service. He joined the fire service in 1978 at 16 years old, and he was very active between 1918 and 2001 when he had to go work offshore and he couldn't keep up with his training or his participate as much as he wanted to. And he says, this is his writing now, in May of 2001, we were fighting a fire on Eagle Point Drive when Chief Bro sent me a message, you either come back and train with us or you quit coming to my scenes. I don't remember telling him that, but he said, but that lit a fire in me that never went out. He said, I want to thank Chief Bro for kicking me in the rear. If that's what it took, I'm glad that he's still around because he's been a blessing to our department. He joined back in 2001. He started as a firefighter. He moved through the ranks as a lieutenant, a captain, and then he headed our junior fireman's program. In 2005, he moved to Luling because of his job. At that time, he joined the Luling Fire Department because he had it in his blood. Very dedicated guy. He started back as a firefighter in Luling. He moved on through the ranks again as a captain, as a deputy chief, and as a training officer. But fortunately for me and the rest of our department, in 2015, he decided to come back home. Came back to Pierreport, and Kim asked me if he could join. I was so ecstatic, I told him sure. And I knew the certifications he had. He was a training officer in Luling. He trained many firefighters in Firefighter 1, and I immediately gave him the position as our training officer. In 2019, he became an LSU adjunct fire instructor. He teaches for LSU firemen's training. Some of his certifications are hazmat awareness, operations, firefighter 1 and 2, and instructor 1. And the reason he's not here tonight, he's teaching a leadership class to a bunch of firefighters in Ascension Parish Fire District 1. So I'm going to make sure that he gets this and he gets the recognition that he needs. Thank you all very much for doing this.
Thank you, Chief. We move now to Pankerville Fire Department. Jason Joua is here to present the honoree.
Good evening. I'm Jason Joua with Pankerville Fire Department. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, but our honoree tonight joined our department in 2014. She is our treasurer on paper, but she does everything else. Anything I need her to do, she does it. She keeps us all straight in the meetings. She did all of this. She attended college while she still held that position, still maintained all of her jobs at the fire station, kept us straight, all while obtaining her degree. With that being said, I want to honor Bailey Amadei as our recipient tonight. Thank you, Bailey.
We move back to Ascension Parish now. Donaldsonville, Chief Adam Gautreaux, and I think he'll present 2 awards, one for the regular volunteer firefighter, and the other is a paid firefighter.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the KCs for allowing us to participate in the awards tonight. Chief Bro said he's about to make 40 years as fire chief. That's a great accomplishment. I can't even imagine that. I'm working on 3 years and I see more and more gray in my hair every day. As he said, I have 2 awards. The first one will be career firefighter, and I'll go to Trevor Cox. Trevor's been with us for 3 years. He started as a volunteer, and we had an opening, so he started on the floor. And in this last year, he has gotten Fire Instructor 1 and did a rope rescue class. And recently, he's worked as step-up captain for about a month and done an outstanding job. I think in the future, he will be a great leader and a really good mentor to the firemen. So I'd like to present Trevor Cox, career firefighter. All right, and next we have the volunteer firefighter. So I was at a council meeting one night, and I was telling the council we're having trouble finding volunteer firemen. And after the meeting, Troy came up, and he said, "Man, I could be a fireman?" I was like, "Yeah, all you got to do is show up to the fire department. You can volunteer with us." And about 3 days later, he showed up at the station, and has been very eager to just learn. In the first 4 months, he's gotten EMOR certification, hazmat awareness, and hazmat ops. So he's gotten 3 certifications within 3 months. He's been with us a little longer than that, but that's just really good. He's very eager to learn, and all the full-time firemen are excited when he shows up because that's a motivation to them. They get to share their knowledge and experience with somebody, and he's just so willing to learn new stuff, and I think he will be a great fireman. So, Mr. Troy. Yes.
I think that leaves Napoliville. Taking Brian Grove's place is Lee Ogeron.
Okay. I'm not the public speaker, so you're welcome to laugh with me, laugh at me. Just have fun in life today, okay? So I can see something and read to y'all. Several weeks ago, we were asked by the Knights of Columbus to recognize one of our members. It stood up for something they may have done to recognize that member. As a volunteer myself for over 35 years, it's kind of hard to pick one member out of a volunteer department, everybody giving it for nothing, getting nothing to pay back for it. Very hard to do that, but after some discussion, we found one person that finally stood out to us. So tonight, we recognize a member who's been here since 1983. He's been married now for 18 years, 3 kids, a 13, a 9, a 4, but still has time to volunteer with all that going on in his life. He joined as a junior fireman, became a firefighter at 18 years old. He has accomplished many goals in his time that's been there. Vice president for 3 years, fire lieutenant for about 3 years, president for 4 years, rescue captain for 7, emergency responder for now 10. He's completed some live fire training certifications of 1403. He's actually hazmat certified. He has previously received several awards in other departments, Fire Chief Award, and recognized as the Fireman of the Year. Myself, as a new guy in the community, I've only been here 3 years, so I'm the outsider coming in. I've heard of him acknowledge me when somebody asks, "Who is that?" Well, oh, that's Lee. He's an EMT firefighter. He's now with Napoliville Fire Department. Hasn't shut me out as being a new guy in the community. As a small community, y'all have seen this probably. Well, here I am tonight to recognize Corey Taquito with Napoliville Fire Department.
Will all the firefighters in the audience please stand and be recognized? Thank you for the protection that you provide to our communities. From time to time, some of our fourth degree members are called by their maker, and sometimes things sort of slip by us and we fail to do a couple things. So tonight, we dug back into the record a little bit once we were made aware of the fact that we hadn't paid tribute to a few of our fourth degree members, our Sir Knights, that have passed on to their reward. Normally, when a fourth degree member passes away these days, we present the family with a sword holder, a wall plaque in which the sword, which the fourth degree members, as you can see, have on themselves. The sword is placed in the holder and it is placed on the wall and given to a family member. And tonight we'd like to present 3 of these sword plaques to individuals that somewhere along the line we failed to present. We were made aware of it, so we figured let's correct our mistakes. The first goes to the widow of Wilson Butch Saint-Germain. He passed away in 2004. He was faithful navigator of the organization at one time. His wife Mel is here to receive the plaque. Also in 1988, James Pereira passed away. Our organization, the Fourth Degree Monsignor Landsman Assembly, was established in 1987, and he joined our assembly, evidently belonging to another assembly prior to this, but he died the year later. And lastly, Ernest Theriault, whose wife Barbara is here to receive the sword holder. He passed away in 2009. At the time of his passing, he was faithful navigator. So we'd like for the members of the family, Barbara and Mel, and whoever is representing the James Pereira family, to come forward and receive these sword holders, please. Okay, Miss Mel. And Ernest. Barbara. Put the swords in them and hang them up proudly. Will all the members of the Monsignor Landsman Assembly who are here please stand and be recognized? Thank you. I don't want to say we saved the best for last, but what we have saved for last is certainly well deserved. We honor a veteran every year, and this means a lot to that veteran. We honored one the last time we had this in 2019. This guy was really depressed. He was down in the dumps. And we heard about his situation and we went and talked to him. We gave his history and presented him a plaque. That changed that man's life. He stopped several times, not only at my house, but the home of some of the other KC members, fourth degree members, to thank us for what we did for him. It sort of revived his life. He felt that by serving in the military, he was shortchanged because of certain things that took place. But we changed him. And today he still thanks us when he sees us. Today, we want to honor someone, and it's bittersweet today. It really is bittersweet. Because today we want to honor a triple Purple Heart recipient. It's bittersweet because his wife, being gravely ill for the past few weeks, passed away this morning. I'm talking about Aubrey Theriault, our recipient, and his wife is Vicky. Please join me in a moment of silence for the repose of her soul. May she rest in peace. Another family member will accept the award on his behalf tonight. Mr. Theriault, a native of Assumption Parish, was born in 1948. At the age of 18, on April Fool's Day at that, he was drafted into the United States Army. It was not a fool at that particular time, though, even though it was April Fool's Day. It was no joke. He received his basic combat training in Fort Benning, Georgia, and his AIT, that's Advanced Individual Training, at Fort Knox in Kentucky. Here he learned hands-on training and field instruction, which he would need for his next mission. He was grateful that he did not take this training lightly, because it would soon become very valuable. He was given 12 days leave, during which time he got married. Upon returning to the military, he was flown to Vietnam and assigned to the 11th Armored Cavalry Black Horse Division, G Troop. And if you're wondering what they did, Google 11th Army Black Horse Division, and you get an idea of what this man went through. He was one of a 4-man team whose job it was to go ahead of the infantry in a tank. The 4-member team basically lived in an armed tank for months at a time. Food was basically out of a can, and there was very little sleep. The 4 men took turns taking 1-hour shifts. Taking a warm bath was out of the question. Not long after being in Nam, he was hit in the shoulder by shrapnel, mortar shrapnel. He sustained a large hole in his shoulder, which was patched, and he was sent back on duty. For this, he was awarded his first Purple Heart Medal. And of course, the Purple Heart Medal is given to individuals who have been wounded by enemy fire. Christmas Eve, 1968, is forever etched in his mind. His tank ran over a landmine. He was thrown out of the tank and sustained major injuries to his jaw and face. He lost many teeth in the explosion Unfortunately, one of his fellow buddies in the tank was with him, was killed in that explosion. For this injury, he was awarded a second Purple Heart Medal. It is understandable that much of what he went through is too painful to talk about. He spent 12 months in Vietnam before returning to the United States, where he spent 6 months at Fort Hood, Texas. Here, and his wife and his young son joined him. At Fort Hood, life was anything but great. Living conditions were poor, and they basically lived in a hotel. Despite everything he went through, he was willing to re-enlist. But his wife, Vicky, said, "No way." Upon leaving the military, his major job was working for Westfield as a truck driver. He, of course, is now retired. He has 2 children, Mike and Kim. Aubrey comes from a family that has put many years of service into our country's history. His father was a World War II veteran who served in the Philippines. He, of course, served in Vietnam, and his son served during the time of the Iraqi conflict. 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago now, Sir Knight Ronald LeGlue and I went and talked to him once we found out a little bit about his military service. As he spoke, the words were hard to come because he had to relive some of what he went through. And certainly tears flowed from his eyes at that time. I think Ronald and I both left that house, with a deep appreciation for his service to our country. Men and women who served in Vietnam got no hero's welcome upon coming back to the United States. As I look across the audience tonight, I know that we have other Vietnam veterans that are in the audience, and they can probably tell some of the similar stories. Once Aubrey returned home, he told a story of a family gathering that was held for him. During the gathering, somebody dropped a pan, which made a loud noise. Still in the war mode, he immediately dove under the table for protection. An ordeal like Vietnam is difficult to get out of one's system. The Vietnam conflict, of course, was a very controversial affair. There is still so much discussion today as to whether losing 55,000 men and injuring many more was actually worth it. But Mr. Theriault, along with thousands of others, didn't bat an eye. They went where they were told, and they did what they had to do. Mr. Aubrey, you will eventually see this, since it is being filmed. We thank you for your service and sharing your story with us. This had to be very difficult, and certainly right now, this time for you is very difficult, and we wish you could be here, and we say, God bless you. So on behalf of the Monsignor Landsman Assembly of the Knights of Columbus, we would like to present you with this certificate of appreciation, and understand his sister is here to receive it. We also not only present him this certificate, but as we were visiting him, he pointed out that his Black Horse cap of the 11th Armored Cavalry was just about worn out. Well, we got him another one. and therefore he will be receiving this cap as well. Also, one of our Sir Knights is an expert craftsman, and each year that individual makes a pen and pencil set to give to that recipient. And of course, that craftsman is Henry Blanchard, who cannot be here tonight, who is just getting over COVID as well. So we will be presenting this to Mr. Albrecht as well. So Ms. Idell, would you please come forward to receive this? The certificate has, of course, the black horse symbol. It's got the tank, similar to what he was in. So it's very, very fitting. Again, we thank you. I didn't recognize the two Sir Knights dressed in the traditional 4th degree regalia. Sir Knight, as you probably know him better as Bayou Mike LeBlanc, and Sir Knight Ronald LeGlue. And Father, my apologies. I wanted to recognize you when you did come in after we started. But Father Eddie, pastor here at St. Anne's, and the clustered parishes, Assumption and Napoliville, and the Canal. And he would like to bestow a blessing upon all of you, and then we'd like to close with the singing of God Bless America.
I know those chairs are getting a little bit tough. I got to tell you 2 quick stories. I am a big recipient of all you guys' efforts. Those of you in Labourdyville and Napoleonville know that Ash Wednesday, a year and a half ago, I took it a little too serious and set my historic register house on fire. Place has been around 167 years, best I can figure. You know, that fireplace was the only way to heat it for at least 140 of those years. I used the thing for the 3rd time, and the house starts to go in smoke. But they were so great. They came to my rescue. I was trying to put it out with my hand, show you what kind of brains I've got. Burned my hand up pretty good. And they were so funny as we were sitting there waiting to get the last little few flames. I said, hey, it's Ash Wednesday. We said, we got a padre, we got ashes. Why don't you say we take care of some business here? But I can't thank you enough. I want to tell you, when I was in seminary, I was told to start wearing this collar before I was ordained a priest. I said, man, already when I go to the hospital and make calls, people are trying to confess to me. I don't even walk in there looking like a priest. I'm already having no trouble. I said, why do you want me to wear the uniform? I don't own that uniform yet. And they said, we want you to get used to people spitting at you. Seriously. It was right after the clergy abuse scandal. And when you sit down somewhere, when people get up and move away from you, see what you're going to be encountered as a priest. I'm glad to tell you I've never experienced any of that. But I'm ashamed to hear a lot of you do. Sir, if I get to be a priest 20 years, I hope I impact as many lives as you are. Great job. And I love you. I mean, I can't thank you enough. The braveness you have to go into places, not throwing care to the wind. You know that you're putting your life and your health and your family's security on the line when you go in there, and you do it for other people's. You police officers, I wouldn't want your job for all the money in the world. And you don't get hardly any of the money in the world. But every time you pull up for traffic signals, you got those tender windows, you can't even see what kind of wag job you got on the other side. No idea what's waiting for you. Thank you so much. My home, Sheriff Weber, is in Ascension Parish, where I live. My daughter doesn't even lock the doors. And I never did either. I mean, we feel so secure. Thank you so much for all you're doing. I can't thank you enough, and y'all deserve the respect that we get as priests, doctors get, We both got it made. I get to eat 2 meals like I had tonight, today. This is my second meal in here. I mean, I got it made, and people give me all kind of respect. And y'all make it possible for us to gather here on Sunday, keeping us free, and the veterans are here as well. So I can put all my congregation to sleep with my homies. So I can't thank you enough. And I'd like to give you a special blessing. Heavenly Father, I ask you to send your Holy Spirit into this room, to the homes of all of these men and those that are cohorts that work with them and alongside them that couldn't be with us tonight. Protect them everywhere they go. Be above them to watch over them, before them to lead them, behind them to protect them, beside them to console them when they lose a friend or lose one of their patients they're working on, their calls. Help them, Lord, to remain safe through all of the dangers that they entertain on a daily basis, never knowing what's coming around their next curve. We thank you so much for their sacrifice, for their willingness to put others before themselves. A great group of men, great and women, as souls and hearts. Watch over them, protect them. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank y'all so much. Y'all been awesome. Appreciate it.
Where's our song leader? Where's our song leader? How about start it off?
This is not going to be a solo. Bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you all for coming.